He shot his longtime girlfriend, the mother of his children, who was pregnant with his child. He murdered her. So if he will do that, he will murder anybody.
In the early hours of May 22, 2024, neighbors in Dayton, Ohio, were disturbed by shouting coming from a home on the 1400 block of Shaftesbury Road. Then, they heard gunshots. Seconds later, a car drove away from the scene. After hearing the disturbance, the neighbors immediately called the authorities, and when police arrived, they entered the home and found two people already dead: a pregnant woman and a teenage boy, both shot multiple times. The woman was 31-year-old Precious Taste. She had been in a relationship with a man who had recently been released from prison, and right after leaving jail, the man went to their home and killed his pregnant wife. Now, the police had two bodies, a missing suspect, and an unknown motive. But what they would learn next revealed that someone else may have known this was coming. This is the life and death of Precious Taste.
Hey, and you know what? I forgot I had a fucking baby in the back, yo. I got a fucking baby in the back, yo. Damn. I got a baby in the back seat.
This case takes us to Dayton, Ohio in the United States. Dayton boasts a relaxed and welcoming atmosphere, featuring a mix of historic neighborhoods, urban areas, and scenic parks along the Great Miami River. The city is renowned for its aviation history, affordable cost of living, and vibrant downtown area, featuring breweries, restaurants, and art spaces, all while maintaining a small-town feel with easy access to outdoor activities. However, crime can be a concern in certain neighborhoods. In 2022, Dayton's violent crime rate was significantly higher than the national average, though many parts of the city remain relatively safe and close-knit. However, this was not the case for Precious Tate. Born in 1991, Precious was the proud mother of 7 children and 4 months pregnant, with her 8th due later that year. She was a pillar in her community. In Dayton, Ohio, she was known as a devoted mother who organized neighborhood gatherings and supported her friends with an open heart. Precious worked hard to provide for her children and committed her spare time to supporting those around her. Those who knew Precious remember a profound transformation in the year leading up to her death. She had overcome serious personal challenges, stress, health issues, and the aftermath of abuse, to lose over 200 pounds, and she actively worked to rebuild her life. Friends describe her as determined, vibrant, nurturing, and wrapped in a quiet confidence. She filled her home with celebration, smiles, and pride, especially when it came to her children's happiness. Yet, beneath the surface, there were warning signs. Among her children were lively 4-year-old twins she shared with the man who would become her doom, Nicole Nico Cunningham Jr. Her on-again, off-again relationship with Nico had a pattern of escalation. It began with affection, but repeated episodes of emotional and physical violence marred their years together. In 2022, when Precious was pregnant, an argument escalated into a horrifying point. She feared he would hit her, but the reality of his actions was much worse. Nico savagely attacked her with a knife, stabbing her until she collapsed from the knife wounds and left her there to die. And to Precious, her world had gone black. That attack left her bleeding and broken on her own floor. Nico was arrested and charged with felonious assault, spending several months in prison. Precious, on the other hand, struggled and fought with the help of family and friends. Eventually, she survived the attack, determined to rebuild again, this time without him. But that was not the end of Nico. Nico secured a parole release in January 2024. News of this reached Precious fast, and she was eager not to be caught in his grasp again. So, she started making cautious efforts to move forward and away from his reach. She applied for jobs, arranged for the children's care, and reaffirmed her decision to distance herself from Nico's volatile temper. The relationship was officially over, but his presence still haunted her daily life in the worst ways. He would come to pick up the twins, would appear unexpectedly at her home, and would try to control her decisions, especially where her car was concerned. Just like before, every little thing started building towards a big explosion that burned even more than Precious. In the early hours of May 22, 2024, everything came to a brutal head. The night before, they had argued once more, reportedly over her decision to keep her car. That car symbolized her freedom and her new life. She held fast. He stormed off, but he did not stay away. At 6:20 a.m., the emergency dispatch log registered a chilling 911 call. Precious's voice was frightened, and her fear radiated through the phone. She spoke of hiding with her children. As gunshots went off, neighbors flooded the police with persistent calls for help. Within minutes, Dayton Police Department units arrived, but what they found would haunt the community forever. Inside the home on Shaftesbury Road, gunfire had echoed. Multiple bullets had struck Precious. Nearby, 16-year-old Deontay Day Johnson, a family friend who was staying for the night, lay motionless, also shot. Precious's unborn child, only 20 weeks, was gone before it had a chance to exist. A third adult and two of her children had survived by hiding, trembling, and waiting just out of sight. But who had caused all this terror? How did he get in? Investigators would later confirm that Nico had smashed a window to break in. He went inside, found Deontay while he slept, and shot him without hesitation. Then he chased Precious through the home, firing again and again, stopping only when her life was extinguished as her own children lay terrified nearby. The scene inside the house was as brutal as it was tragic. A mother killed in the place she worked to build, a child killed just before being present, and another life erased before it could ever be born. The heart of the community was bleeding, but even worse, the prime suspect was on the run. In the aftermath, rather than fleeing the state in panic, Nico casually drove away in Precious's white Chevy Malibu and then abandoned it in a Trotwood apartment complex. He didn't flee the region. Instead, he attempted to change clothes nearby, hoping to blend in and avoid detection. Immediately, a massive manhunt followed. Dayton homicide detectives, joined by U.S. Marshals Service's Southern Ohio Fugitive Apprehension Strike Team, pursued every lead. Their message to the public was urgent. Nicole Cunningham Jr. is dangerous and he will kill again.
So just be very cautious if you see him. Call the police. Utilize Crime Stoppers. 222 Stop, which is a cash reward, totally anonymous. You can do it online through the app. But that's, don't approach, call 911, get police help. If you know where he is at, let us know through Crime Stoppers or whatever way, and we'll get you compensated.
Their response would span local streets, state lines, and even the skies, pursuing a violent fugitive now at large. The initial police intervention was swift and methodical. Officers secured the Shaftesbury Road scene within minutes of arriving. Crime scene units documented shattered glass, shell casings, and the lifeless bodies of Precious and Deontay. Detectives established a perimeter to protect the surviving children and adult witness, ushering them to safety and medical evaluation alongside investigators. Meanwhile, homicide detectives began salvaging every scrap of evidence: fingerprints, ballistic fragments, surveillance footage. It rapidly became clear this was no random crime. Multiple entry wounds suggested targeted gunfire. The broken window confirmed forced entry. Investigators recognized familiar details from prior domestic violence cases: patterns of entry, escalation, and the profiler's nightmare, a perpetrator returning to the scene of the crime. Soon enough, investigators built a compelling theory. The crime had all the markings of the work of someone aggrieved, calculating, and intimately familiar with the family's layout. And their suspicions pointed squarely at one man, Nico Cunningham Jr., the father of Precious's twins and the unborn child, recently released on parole after stabbing her 2 years earlier.
And welcome to First at 4. Dayton police are searching for a man with a violent history, now accused of murdering 2 people.
Police say he's extremely dangerous. Here is a look at that suspect, Nicole Cunningham Jr. Police say he goes by Nico. They say if you see him, do not approach him, but call 911 immediately.
Detectives pursued this lead aggressively. Within hours, they had gathered witness statements. Neighbors had heard shattering glass and yelled threats. Surveillance footage from nearby homes captured a white Chevy Malibu fleeing Trotwood just after the shooting, and only one person could have driven it. one person whose history got worse by the day. Court records revealed Nico had been convicted of felonious assault, had firearms on parole-prohibited grounds, had abducted at least once, and had previously confronted police with a gun. Detectives recognized the same red and white dyed dreadlocks seen on the suspect's head, but locating him was a challenge. He was now a fugitive whose fingerprints and DNA were documented from the knife incident and the car at the scene. His name went into national databases and his photo circulated on Amber Alerts and Crime Stoppers postings. Then, a huge bounty was placed on his head. $1 million reward was promised to anyone who could lead to his arrest. This emphasized the urgency and the risk that he posed. Authorities stressed that he was to be considered armed and dangerous with a desperation that might lead to further violence. During community briefings, Dayton Police Major Brian Johns stressed the danger. If someone could kill the mother of his own children and perform a triple homicide, he would not hesitate to kill again. He urged residents not to approach Nico and instead to call the cops or submit anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers. Meanwhile, the investigation widened. As detectives analyzed forensic records, they confirmed a chilling sequence. Nico had pushed open a window, entered quietly, and shot Deontay while he slept. He located Precious, chased her, and shot her multiple times. He exited the house and escaped in the Chevy Malibu. Where was the car now? He abandoned the vehicle in Trotwood a few hours later. He changed clothes inside an apartment to alter his appearance and possibly fled toward Richmond, Indiana, and then to Cleveland, where federal resources indicated he could be traveling. He was running across state lines, and the authorities were onto him. Detectives mapped out probable routes, checking license plate readers and fuel stop records. Surveillance from traffic cameras supported the theory of a multi-state escape. They coordinated with Ohio State Highway Patrol and Cleveland PD in case Nico hijacked a stolen vehicle or remained nearby. But then, a new crime brought the case into sharp focus. A traffic stop in Cleveland on July 23rd captured a silver Chevy Equinox linked to an armed robbery. The vehicle contained documents that connected back to the region. Its driver matched the distinctive description of Nico: the same build, the same dyed hairstyle, even a partial fingerprint that confirmed his identity. The police swept into action, and a chase began. Nico refused to stop, but police helicopters tracked the vehicle across Cleveland. A high-speed pursuit ended at Lakeview Avenue, where the driver bailed from the SUV and fled on foot. But there was nowhere to hide. Ground officers and marshals tracked him through a wooded area, closing in. He was found hiding in an abandoned house around 3:19 p.m., surrendering without incident. He was handcuffed, fingerprinted, and identified at the Cuyahoga County Jail. His resemblance to the wanted poster was unmistakable. Soon after, extradition began. Within days, he was transferred back to Montgomery County Jail, held on a $1 million bond, and formally booked on charges including 4 counts of murder, involuntary manslaughter, multiple counts of felonious assault, domestic violence, weapons violations under disability, tampering with evidence, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. As he sat behind bars, investigators pieced together the full timeline. They announced that at the time of the killings, he had been on parole for stabbing Precious while she was already pregnant. A violent history that spanned years. He had been seen at prenatal appointments and custody exchanges, so he could not claim to be unaware of the baby's existence. Now, with his capture, prosecution was imminent. The Montgomery County grand jury soon issued its indictment, charging him with 4 counts of murder for Precious, Deontay, the unborn child, and possibly another victim connected to felonious assault. Felonious assault counts were added for the surviving witnesses who had huddled in terror. Nico Cunningham Jr. would soon face trial for murdering a pregnant woman, a teenager, and illegally using multiple weapons, while fleeing across state lines. His arrest appeared to promise justice, but for Precious's children, for Deontay's family, and for the Dayton community, the question of healing would remain. With Nico Cunningham Jr. in custody, Dayton now turns its focus to the justice system and collective healing. Prosecutors confirmed that he has formally pleaded not guilty to the charges: 4 counts of murder, 2 counts of felonious assault, 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of domestic violence, tampering with evidence, having weapons under disability, and unauthorized use of a vehicle. His case is set to move from municipal court to common pleas, signaling a transition from arraignment to trial, though no trial date has yet been set. In that first appearance via video link, Deontay's mother sat through proceedings visibly shaken and determined. She expressed frustration that a $1 million bond had been allowed for Cunningham, fearing he might once again slip through the system.
Giving him a chance, I basically giving him a chance. I'm giving him a chance. He doesn't need a chance. He didn't give them a chance.
The court has ordered Cunningham to post at least 10% of bond to be eligible for monitored release, a scenario both families say feels like another blow in the wake of unimaginable loss. Public reaction has been immediate and heartfelt. Friends described Precious as a kind, sweet soul who gave everything to her children and community, while family members recalled her generosity, how she once hosted a backyard birthday party for the neighborhood children with no expectation of anything in return. One close friend admitted she missed warning signs that Precious may have dropped, wishing she had paid closer attention. The teenager, Deontay, was remembered as a bright, gentle young man full of promise, taken in the wrong place at the wrong time. In the days following the arrest, a memorial at Shaftesbury Road drew community members who released purple balloons, the color of pregnancy and domestic violence awareness, to symbolize vibrant lives lost and hope for change. Local residents described shared grief, the calls for justice and deeper community reflection, especially around domestic violence within family spaces. Her funeral brought over a sea of cars winding through Dayton, stretched blocks long as grieving families, friends, and neighbors filled the church. Tears mingled with laughter and music as speakers remembered her generosity, her faith in second chances, and her unwavering love for her children. Her twin toddlers and Deontay's loved ones looked on as their lost ones were honored with stories of light, hope, and heartbreak. With trial dates still unconfirmed, attorneys are preparing pre-trial motions. Prosecutors are expected to argue that Cunningham's past violence, the premeditated breaking of a window, and the quadruple fatal outcome demand the most serious punishment available. Defense attorneys may attempt to challenge elements such as intent before the killing, but the strength of eyewitness accounts and surveillance footage could make it a steep climb. The pain is ongoing. Still, the community has begun standing together. Domestic violence workshops, awareness events, and parent-child safety sessions are being planned. Faith leaders, local nonprofits, and law enforcement officials are coordinating efforts to better serve those at risk. Above all, residents are being urged to speak up when they sense danger. A friend's sudden tension, a partner's jealousy, even a blurred bruise can be precursors to tragedy. Resources like the Family Justice Center and the Artemis Center serve as living reminders that help is available 24/7. If you or someone you know is dealing with emotional or physical abuse inside or outside the home, it's critical to recognize the signs. You don't have to wait for violence to escalate. Safety planning starts with small steps, finding a trusted friend, researching safe spaces like domestic violence shelters, or calling a confidential helpline. No one deserves to live in fear. Not you, not your children. Reach out, connect, speak. May Precious and Deontay rest in peace.